All right, I'm live all by myself on StreamYard. I decided to go ahead and give you guys a little sneak peek of my podcast that I'm doing. So um, make sure you leave comments if you're in so that I could see. One, I want to see who's here. I want to answer your questions if you have them. And I'm going to highlight some of your comments. If it looks like something you have to say or something you have to ask would be like super helpful to someone else. Excuse the wobbliness. Sometimes I'm actually just getting used to a new stand. I'm in a new environment. I'm actually used to being in my guest room / my personal office. And this time I decided to come and hang out in my husband's studio, which, by the way, is a gorgeous place to get some work done. Anyway, so before I actually go ahead and dive right into the topic, I want to make sure I share with you a little who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. So I am Gretchen. I am not just your mind, body, life coach. I am also a super blessed mom of 6. My oldest, I call her my marriage gift, and she was an only child till I married her husband and brought 5 additional amazing kids into the picture. My baby is 17, so I'm hitting that place where empty nesting can become a huge part of my life. I absolutely am loving having sons-in-law. I am loving the stage of exploring some of my gifts, working on some of my weaknesses, learning to say no. And you know what? I'm taking a lot of both my life experience and my personal education, my training, all of these great things to go ahead and really help people reach their goals. So when I first got accredited as a life coach, it was actually while I was working on my undergrad with Liberty University. I graduated in 2015, actually, and my focuses were education and life coaching. A big thing I've been torn with is what area of life coaching would I really like to kind of be my niche? You know, what was I going to focus on the most? And frankly, I was working full time as a personal trainer. I was starting to really see the correlation between mindfulness, mindset, and success. And as soon as I started working more as a person training with a coaching mindset, my clients started with a higher percentage of them reaching their gifts. Anyway, one thing I did wrong, which is what you guys are benefiting from the good right now, is back then, you're looking at like 2015, 16, I wanted to do everything. I thought just because I could do it, just because I knew how to do it, meant that I should do it. So if someone asked me if I could drive to Bethesda or Potomac or Rockville to train them, I did it. If someone asked me to go ahead and last minute reschedule their 5 a.m. session for another day, I did it. If someone wanted me to train their kid for some sporting thing, even though it wasn't really like the thing I enjoyed, I could do it, so I did it. I was a little bit everywhere, and I wore myself out. I know that is really common with fitness professionals, but frankly, it's really common with a lot of people. For you moms out there, I know that a lot of you have a really hard time saying no. Frankly, a lot of dads do too. Someone asks you to be team mom, team dad, and jump right in. Even when you're like totally time taxed, someone asks you to coach or host the party at your home, you're probably the first one to do it. I know I was guilty of that. Saying no is hard. So because I wasn't saying no enough and I was saying yes to just about everything, I just wore myself freaking out. I was wiped out. So anyway, it really took the pandemic. It took recovering from a hip surgery for me to realize that I absolutely had to dive back into my passion and bring the wisdom that I have gained through the years to really be a blessing to my clients. And guys, since I had left personal training full time, I was kind of dabbling online, I guess you could say, with online coaching. Had coached some ladies to do bodybuilding competitions. They did beautifully. But that burned out feeling kept me from wanting to go full nose, like, woo, dive all the way back in. So anyway, that's where I am now. By the way, in a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and put my headphones on. I see that I have someone watching. If you don't mind writing a comment below so that I can see. Hopefully I can see your comments. Let's see what I got going on here. Let's see. Give me a second. Anyway, let's see. Oops. See what's happening here. All right. So anyway, so we're going to get right to it. A lot of what you guys are going to hear is actually going to go directly onto my podcast Saturday. I decided this morning actually that I would take the next 12 weeks, actually taking all of you right through my coaching journal. Many of my clients are doing body transformation weight loss programs, and this is really ideal for that person who has had weight that has just been sticking to them. Whether they have tried nutrition or exercise programs and they've not stuck with it, or they've tried it and they lost weight and it came right back, and it's been this sort of roller coaster ride or hamster wheel that they can't feel like they can get off of. And a lot of it is just an unhealthy relationship with food, an unhealthy attitude toward other healthy living things, that someone just feels stuck with those things. And I really want to be a help to you. So let's see. I'm actually going to plug in my headphones so that the mic is better. If you are typing and I can't see you, I am sorry. You actually might need to have permissions for StreamYard through your Facebook thing. So if you are commenting and I can't see it, let me know. Obviously, I'm not edited here at the beginning of this. We're just totally like candidly here. So I just want to see what people have to say. I want to hear the feedback, all that stuff. Let's see. So here go the headphones being plugged right in. Like I'm just like totally old school here. Let's see. All right, so the reason I'm using my corded mic, my husband purchased this gorgeous mic, and he's a producer and sound engineer, songwriter, you name it. That's why I'm in his recording studio right now. But he purchased this great setup for me, and there was something wrong with like it's a little thingamajig. That's how fancy I am with electronics, but where you plug in your cords, it was loose. So the sound was coming in and out. It was kind of crappy. So there we are. All right. So I absolutely want to share with you guys this. So here we are. You guys ready? Now we're absolutely getting started. Okay. So if I could be sitting in a room with all of you right now, I'd be asking for a show of hands. I'd be saying, all right, raise your hand if you have dieted 3 or more times over the past 3 years. And no doubt about it, room's going to have a lot of hands, all raised really high. Some people are going to raise 2. Like, I've done this, I've done it for years and I'm sick of it, you know. And then I might ask another question. How many of you have had massive weight loss, celebrated it either through surgeries like lap band surgery, through strong elimination diets, through extreme dieting, maybe even some healthy ways, and you've lost your weight 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 or more pounds, and within a relatively short period of time, especially considering how long it took maybe to lose that weight, the weight came back on. It is such a discouraging feeling. If that's been you, I have been in that place before myself. It is so discouraging. And if you said yes to those things, I promise you, you are one of the people I wrote this journal for. And now in the same room, I may not ask for a show of hands because I wouldn't want people to feel super emotional or put on the spot. But I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask it while you're wherever you are listening, whether you're watching this live right now as it streams on Facebook and YouTube, or those of you listening to the podcast. How many of you are so overwhelmed with the amount of weight that you know would be ideal for you to lose, not just to live healthy, and that is the most important thing, but also so that you feel better about what you see in the mirror, so that it doesn't hurt going and climbing the bleachers to watch your loved one play a sport, so that you're not overwhelmed and self-conscious at the idea of having to board a plane. I have had these conversations with friends. I have had these conversations with clients, and being the empath that I am, it breaks my heart. So over the years, I have strongly wanted to find a way to not just help people exercise better, to not just help people eat better, but to help people overcome those things for the long term. So, first of all, for many people, this is going to tap into a really painful and deep place that I want you to know I am not a licensed mental health therapist. I'm not a medical provider for anything that we might be talking about. And if those are some areas that you really think, I mean, guys, be real honest and soul searching here. If these are areas of struggle to you, reach out to me. I will happily help you and I'll be by your side as we try to find the best resources for you. So as I go into podcasts like this and you hear me giving you some guidance, maybe giving you some tips, asking you some questions, remember I'm doing that assuming that you are going to go ahead and take action for your mental health. I am on your side, my friends. I want you to succeed. I want you to overcome. Okay, so here what I'm doing, I have like this is like my rough copy, my printed at home copy. By the way, this is 83 pages of work that I did in the workbook. This is what my body transformation clients get. They get it with their name on it. So exciting, it's here. If you guys are listening on the podcast, I know you can't see what I'm showing, but people watching this on the video, they can see it. All right, so I'm going to be taking you guys, like I said, for 12 weeks, we're going to go through the Mind, Body, Life Journal. And I want you to go ahead, if you are home, if you're in your room, whatever, grab a piece of paper, grab your journal, grab something to write with. Go ahead and make sure it works. I'm going to pause talking while I find my spot. And I want you to take these few moments, take the little bit of silence, and go find something to write with. All right, here we go. All right. I'm hoping people are finding something to write with, whether you're listening to the podcast, whether you're watching it live. All right. So in week 1 of the 12-week program, by the time my clients are talking to me, I've already provided them with a workout plan. They're going into my app, they're exercising. If they're not working with me on the exercise, I'm trusting them to find something they enjoy. They've probably received a nutrition plan from me by now, by the time they get to this coaching session. And now we're going to start breaking down digging deep on the life coaching side. All right. So I hope you've gotten your pen and paper, your journal, whatever you don't want to lose it, guys, whatever you're writing your notes on. Okay. So I want to go ahead and ask you, what's working for you? What is not working for you when it comes to reaching your fitness goals? Now, I'm going to give you some examples of how I've done this for myself, and I'm hoping that it will help you just find maybe your aha moment. So I had found a place just a few years ago. I actually was training full-time, personal training full-time. Our family was going through a pretty heavy crisis, and one of my sons was just not doing very well. I was exhausted, overwhelmed. I was not getting help with that. I would drive to the gym, train my clients, plan to work out, and then I go to my car and I go to sleep. And I go back in, I train my clients, and every time between every client, I was going to my car hoping no one or very few people, hopefully no one I knew, would see me sleeping in my car. I wasn't so much sleeping because I was naturally tired. I was depressed. So what was not working for me was not getting help. As soon as I decided to get help with what I was going through with my mental health, it was literally, I remember the day I called my husband and I was like, babe, I feel like this fog just lifted. I feel like I didn't even know I was weighed down this much. I was on a low dose anti-anxiety medication. I had no idea how much that would help me through that dark spot. And so I found what was not working for me was not getting help. Now, here's another thing that didn't work for me. I had, even as a trainer, even as a coach, even though I know better, I started telling myself if I didn't work out at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., my day was lost and I was screwed. And frankly, sometimes it wasn't working for me. I found what works for me is to actually be flexible with that. I'm kind of one of those people. I can exercise at night. I can exercise in the middle of the day. I can exercise in the morning. I have to exercise. I plan it based on what I know my following day or what that day is going to look like. For example, if I have physical therapy at 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, doing my workout first is going to have me absolutely miserable and not productive at physical therapy. So usually on those days, I'm going to work out either right after physical therapy or at night. Same thing with diet. A lot of you may have been told, look, you have to meal prep for a week. And if you don't meal prep for a week, you're screwed, right? You may find that you're one of those people that you might need to plan your eating and you may not need to plan for an entire week. Or you might be like me. And if you don't do that, the fast food temptations, all of the sweet treats and late night pizza is going to be super tempting. So I'm one of those people that absolutely has to food prep ahead of time. So I want you to ask yourself, what's working for you with your nutrition, with your workouts, whatever that is. Okay. Now we're going to dig a little deeper here, all right, with what's working for you and what's not working for you. Something that I did for a long time, I actually shared this with my Mind Body Life Challenge ladies about, gosh, it's going in a month now, was I would play these ridiculous puzzle games on my phone, and no joke, sometimes I would do it for like 2-3 hours in an entire day. And I didn't realize that till I downloaded an app that tracked my time online and on my phone and let me know how much time I was doing things. And oh my gosh, guys, if you do that, you would be shocked how much time you might be wasting. So ask yourself, is the way you're spending your time working for you or against you? You might not really know how, especially right now during the pandemic, because, you know, before this, depending on where you live, you might have known that from 9 to 5, I'm going to be at the office. And from 5 to 6, I'm going to be on the road listening to my podcast. From 6 to 7:30, I'm going to be at the gym getting my workout before I go home. And from 7:45 to like 9, I'm going to be playing with the kids and watching the news or whatever it is. Before the pandemic hit, it probably was a little easier for a lot of you to know what your day was looking like. So it could be that the way you're spending your time is not working for you. I'm going to encourage everybody listening to this, whether you're watching it live now, whether you listen later on my podcast, or maybe you just go back online and watch it here. Ask yourself, how am I spending my time during the day? Just like I encourage a ton of my clients, probably all of my clients, to try to keep a food journal of some kind, I'm going to ask you over the next week, keep a time journal. And literally, guys, like track it every day of the week. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be a messy notebook. It could be the back of an envelope. It could be in a notepad on your phone. Write it. Do that in a way that works for you. Personally, I prefer to do it in the notepad on my phone, something like that I don't need to keep long term. But go ahead. Let's go ahead and track your time. Is how you're spending your time working for you right now? When are you getting up? What is the first thing you do? Are you one of the many guilty who immediately before you get out of bed, reach for the phone? It might be under your pillow. Maybe you fell asleep with it on your ear. Maybe it's an arm reach. Maybe you're one of the wise who keep it across the room or even out of the room. Is that what's happening first? What happens next? And what happens next? Do that for 1 week. Today is Wednesday. Do it from now to next Tuesday. And then if you do that, when we come on live next week, or when you listen to the podcast next week, you'll have something to build on. My guess is if you do that exercise and look at how you're spending your time, you're already going to be just ready to start making some decisions to add some things into your schedule or take some things out of your schedule. For me, I realized I was watching way too much TV. I was wasting too much time online. I wasted a lot of time just piddling around on my phone. What else did I do? I just wasted a lot of time. I had way more time than I realized I had. So let's think of some other things that may not be working for you, might be working for you. First of all, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you are eating healthy, don't change it. If you are following a really good, healthy, but challenging exercise program, don't change it. For me, I can't wait till my hip is strong enough that I can return to jujitsu and heavy lifting. That may not be for you. It might be something you want to try, and I would encourage you to try it. That just might not be for you. For you, it might be great to do some light strength training and some long hikes and walks. I want you to do what works for you. Too many fitness professionals, and guys, if you're one of those professionals listening to this, I'm calling you out. Quit trying to make people fit in the box that you are assuming that they can stick with a long time. Just because it works to build muscle, just because it works for someone to lose weight, it doesn't mean it's ideal for them. And so for all of you non-fitness professionals listening to that, know that you should rest assured that the exercise program you follow should absolutely, without a doubt, be something that you can enjoy and stick with long term. Okay, let's think about some other things that might not be working for you. Are you one of those people that you give yourself a cheat day? And guys, I mean, like, you've been good. I often call these weekend warriors. From maybe Sunday or Monday all the way through Thursday, you've been very mindful, making really good decisions, following great plans and living a good and healthy life. But then come Friday, it is happy hour, pizza night, late night desserts. Saturday is pancakes times 2 and 3 servings, outings, ladies' nights out, guys' nights out, whatever it is. Grill the ribs and the mashed potatoes and the extra heapings of this and that all week long. And if that's you, it's not working for you. I promise it is not working for you. So maybe there's a way to modify that so that you can find what you're getting out of that in an enjoyable way. Break it down to a much smaller, less toxic way of spending your weekends or whatever that is, and find a way that works for you. For example, I have a lot of coaching clients that I encourage to have one day a week that they're increasing their fat and or their carbs, maybe dropping down their protein a bit, and also still keeping them in a caloric deficit so that they can keep losing weight. And then they plan for one meal that completely fits in with those boundaries, and then it's not a cheat. I did not think of that all on my own, by the way. When I was coached by Dr. Lane Norton, who I consider a blessing of a friend, an example of what a coach should be, even preparing for bodybuilding shows, every few days I had a high carb day. And ever since then, I actually started encouraging my clients to do it for various reasons. For me, for the average person, not someone stepping on a bodybuilding stage, I do it to help you keep your sanity, to help provide some flexibility, to give you an opportunity to prepare for special events like graduations, weddings, a night out with friends, that sort of thing. Okay, let's go on to some other things that might or might not be working for you. I hear a lot of people tell me that I'm hating on keto diets, and I don't know that I'm hating on it, but I have met too few people who've been able to sustain it long term. And I have met too many people who have had negative results because it wasn't something that they planned on having as a lifestyle. I have had friends lose their hair. I have had friends become very, very depressed as they felt defeated for not being able to stick with it. And way too often, I've had friends gain way more weight than they'd lost and feel like they sucked, even though they didn't. So whether you are doing something extreme, you're doing something where you're eliminating entire food groups and that sort of thing, I would strongly caution you to ask yourself, is this something that you can do for a very long time? If not, is there a way that you could plan for phasing back in very, very slowly and patiently what your regular type of diet is? And the reason I say this is because I don't like seeing people feel defeated. I don't like seeing people struggle more the second, third, fourth time they diet because it was too extreme the first, second, third time. And that's why I do that. So ask yourself if the way you've been losing weight in the past, if that's actually worked for you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tap into now some relationships, okay? A lot of us have sabotagers in our lives, and that's something that's going to be, I'll go into more depth in that in a future podcast. But I want you to go ahead and start to think about how you spend your time with your family, how you spend your time with your friends and your coworkers, that type of thing. And think of some things that are not working for you. If you have a coworker who brings in the candy and offers it to you, and just saying no thanks isn't working, perhaps some other conversation or more firm saying no may help. I know for me, what's helped me was to say to people, hey, you know what? I have some goals I'm working on, and that's not going to help me toward my goals. Thanks, but no thanks. Some family members get they take it personal sometimes if we refuse seconds, if we refuse thirds, if we pass on a certain dish. And for those of you who are really dealing with chronic illness related to obesity, if some of you are experiencing physical pain because you're carrying more weight than is good for your body and your structure, this is a time to go ahead and practice being more firm. All right. Here's a way that I have done this. I remember I went back home to Louisiana. I am a Cajun. I call myself a displaced Cajun. I went back home and a family member made all these pralines. Those of you who say pralines, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're saying it all wrong. But she made pralines. Now, the only people there were me and my 5 kids. And it was enough pralines for like a couple dozen people. No kidding. It was like a massive amount, the whole layout filled with pralines. Now, I love pralines. And I had a couple, which already with the calorie count, I would say that was easily, closer to 200 calories with what I knew was in those pralines and how large and dense they were. I had been preparing for a bodybuilding show at that point in time. So I actually was able to indulge a little bit, but I wanted to stay within my boundaries. This family member was very upset that I wouldn't have more. I mean, you're talking about the faucet of tears turned on, and I did feel bad for not wanting more. And some of you, depending on your cultural background, you have family members that are going to behave the same way. You have loved ones or friends that are going to behave the same way when they prepare either an overabundance of food or maybe certain things that are really things that you need to, for your goals, avoid, cut back on, that sort of thing. If whatever the communication has been the back and forth with those loved ones, if it's not working, you may have to be more firm, you may have to role play in your head. How am I going to respond? For me, I remember saying, I'm not going to name the person because I love them and I'm not trying to call them out and embarrass them. But hey, so-and-so, I'm really working hard toward a goal and I've been working a really long time. If I have the additional, it very well could throw me off course. And I don't want to get on that bodybuilding stage and not be in the best condition I could be. Now for you, it may be a bodybuilding stage. It could be bringing your cholesterol down. It could be that your back hurts, your knees hurt. So I have an itch. So all of you watching me live, you're totally watching me on the podcast. You could tell I am totally not following a full script. I'm looking down at notes here and there. So I'm going to cover some other tiny little details of things that can often work against people trying to improve their life. At home, if like me, keeping clutter is a struggle for you, I'm going to encourage you to find someone to be accountable to keep your workout space, your food prep space, where you're storing your food, where you're keeping your workout clothes, that sort of thing, to keep it tidy. Because for those of us who struggle with that, very often if we can't find our gym pants, if we got to dig in the fridge to find the meal that we prepped for lunch or whatever it is, that could be just enough to make us say, screw it, I don't want to be out there. So be really honest with yourself about maybe certain reasons that being successful starting at home might not be working for you. I have personally, when I know that I'm going to work out super early in the morning, it might sound ridiculous to you guys, but I will totally go to sleep in my workout clothes. I will have my socks and my shoes right next to the bed. If my Apple Watch isn't charged, I'll actually have it like charged and like laying next to my shoes so I don't forget it, right along with my heart rate monitor. I have everything in hands right in my reach so that I could pop up out of bed, get everything ready to go, let my dog out, and hurry on to my workout. If for a lot of people, if their workout clothes are not either on or really close by, it's a deal closer. Those of you who are going to work and you're planning on either working out before or after work, something that helps many people is to make sure that what you're going to wear at work or what you're going to wear after, or the workout clothes you're going to wear after work is already in the car the night before. I've met some amazing people that actually have a gym bag that stays in the car that has things like their gym blow dryer or whatever that is. For those of you who can't go to the gym, find a good place outside, a park, wherever you can get it done. But it could be that for you, having easy access to your workout attire and everything else is going to be what works for you to keep you on track. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about your workout place. Personally, increasingly, I am loving working out at home. If you would have asked me back in January, at the end of last year, if I work out home and say, no, I just get on my Peloton bike, I get on and that's it. And then I get off, but I want to go to the gym to do this or that. Increasingly, since the pandemic, I am loving the freedom of just going into my basement and working out. I have some clients who've been telling me that too. They're loving opening up my app, reading their workout, because most of them are having to work out at home, kind of going through their workout, getting it done in the small space and moving on. So, but a lot of other people are not going to work out if they're not at the gym. So is it working for you to work out where you're working out? Have you tried something new? Is what you're doing not something you don't enjoy going to? If you don't enjoy going to the gym, is there a park you could try? It might be the thing that works for you. So this is our big question. So let's see. I'm looking at my notes again. Here's another thing I want to encourage you. Just because it worked for you in the past does not mean it's going to work for you today. Just because it's working for you today doesn't mean it's going to work for you tomorrow. You may find that something you once loved to do feels like a miserable chore. When it comes to foods you eat, ways that you exercise, whatever it is, this is a really great time during the pandemic to really take more time for introspection. And while things are slower, while a lot of stuff is closed, where you can't do quite as much, perhaps taking a little bit of time to do what I'm talking about today. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Now, I can tell you what doesn't work for anybody. What doesn't work for anybody is taking no action. I'm encouraging you today to start by having let me show you what it looks like in my journal. So I have a what works for me, what doesn't work for me side of the journal for my coaching clients. That way they can go ahead and write down, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. They may be brainstorming some other ideas, things that might work for them. That's what I'm asking you to do this week. If you do that this week, I can assure you that when you come on and listen in next Wednesday live, like we're doing right now, or whether you hear the podcast Saturday when it drops, maybe you do both. I would love it if you did that. Whatever it is you choose to do, I would love it if you do this exercise today, because I know it's going to help you build upon that for next week. And next week we'll cover an entirely new topic. All right. So something else I have in my journal, and this is for my clients, it's really for their own use. I have a monthly planner. I'm going to encourage you guys to start doing that if you aren't already. It could be, let me drop these papers here. It can be in your phone and a calendar there. I'm so old school. I have to have it written down. I carry my my handwritten, my little notebook journal / calendar practically everywhere I go. And if I can't find it, I'm almost as lost as if I was wandering around the house without my glasses or contacts. Like, I have to have it. But anyway, for you guys, I'd like you to have a calendar to go ahead and mark in over the next month. We're right at the beginning of September. Mark down any really big events, special things that you know are coming up. Is there a wedding? Is there a meeting? Is there a time you already know that you're going to have to work late? Do you have dinner guests coming over? Are you going somewhere else? Go ahead and put those on your calendar. That way you start to get an idea of what the upcoming days are looking like. All right. That will enable you to start planning as you start to make progress toward your weight loss goals, whatever your fitness goals are. But right now I'm focusing more on weight loss. To know, for example, maybe you know that on September 18th, you have some friends that invited you to dinner. You're going to be there. Perhaps when you go there, you tend to drink a little bit too much wine, whatever it is. You get to start right now preparing the self-talk and learning some ways that can work for you the next time you have that dinner meeting or when you have to work late. Maybe you know there's a big project. A lot of you are working like crazy on Zoom, and you might feel like you're working even harder, especially you teachers. If you know that you have a really long planning day on Zoom, and perhaps you know that on days you work like that, the temptation, the norm for you might be to eat half a pizza, grab the fast food. My weakness is Chick-fil-A, gotta say. Some people call it God's chicken. I call it my hips chicken because that's exactly where it goes. But I really want to try to help you guys ensure success. So remember at the beginning of this, if you tapped in here a little bit too late, you might catch this if you have a re-listen later. But let's go ahead and encourage you guys to keep a time journal. You've heard about people keeping a food journal, probably. You may other types of journals, but I want you to go ahead, however you're going to be able to keep track of it and not lose it, between today and next Tuesday, going into next Wednesday when I go live again. We're going to go ahead and know that you took time to say, how am I spending my time? You're going to see, where are you over investing your time? How much time is wasted? How much time is well spent? What are some ways that you can use found time to invest in yourself so that you can live healthier, so that you can reach your full potential in those weight loss goals or those strength goals? And so that maybe you can give back to some of the things and people in your life that you love. So I hope this has been helpful to you guys. We've gone, gosh, it's like 38 minutes live right now. Not all of this is going to make it to the podcast. I had a few minutes of just chit chat early on. If you're all catching this on the podcast, I want you to know that this is very special to me. It took a lot of ending self-sabotaging thought of my own. The whole idea, I kept questioning whether I'm good enough. Would I come across corny? Would I come across as some self-indulgent, narcissistic person that just wants to hear herself talk? I was so worried about what people would think that I spent 2 years scared to launch what I'm doing right now. So if you're listening on the podcast, if you're not listening on the podcast, I hope you will. It is Your Mind, Body, Life Coach, the Your Mind, Body, Life Coach podcast. It is super exciting to me that it is now on Spotify, Google Podcasts, so many other podcast platforms, and it is coming soon to Apple Podcasts. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for sharing with others. If you have any questions, go ahead and inbox me here on social media, or you can send an email to Gretchen at yourmindbodylifecoach.com. Have a great one, guys.